My name is Jason Carter, and everything I thought I knew about loyalty died on a Thursday. It was late, the kind of late where the world is quiet, and your thoughts are louder than your footsteps. I had just flown in a day early to surprise Lana, my girlfriend of 3 years. My hands were still clutching the bouquet of lilies she claimed were her favorite. My heart was pounding with anticipation, love, excitement, naive hope. But none of those things mattered once I opened the door to my father's study. The lights were dim. A single lamp cast a warm, amber glow over the room, highlighting 2 silhouettes entangled on the leather couch. At first, I couldn't process what I was seeing. I blinked, froze, tried to rationalize, tried to pretend that the woman moaning into my father's neck wasn't the same one who used to fall asleep on my chest every night, that the man grunting beneath her wasn't the same person who taught me how to shave. But reality has a cruel way of settling in. If you are shocked by what you just heard, don't keep it to yourself. Drop a comment, letting me know where you're watching from. Your thoughts matter. And if you want to stay in the loop for what's coming next, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss a moment of this. They didn't stop when I entered. They looked up, Lana's hair clinging to her sweaty face, my dad's shirt halfway unbuttoned, his smug expression not faltering for a damn second. Lana laughed. Guess the surprise is on you, she said, breathless and smug. My father leaned back like a king admiring his prize. You should have knocked, son. The lilies fell from my hand. My mouth opened, but nothing came out. My mind raced through every late-night text she'd brushed off, every weekend she suddenly needed space. Every time she told me I was too intense. I had blamed myself, thought I was a problem. But it wasn't me. It was them. You were never enough for her, Dad said coolly, lighting a cigar like this was just another business deal. You don't have what it takes to keep a woman like Lana interested. Lana stood up slowly, stretching like a cat, completely naked and utterly unbothered. He's got potential, she purred mockingly, but he's too soft. I wanted to scream, fight, smash everything in that room. But I didn't. I turned and walked away. My steps were slow, deliberate, and heavy with the weight of betrayal. They wanted a reaction. They wanted me broken. Instead, I gave them silence. That night, I packed my bags and left the house I'd grown up in without saying a word to anyone. My phone buzzed endlessly. Apologies from people who had heard some version of the story, messages from Lana I didn't open, one pathetic voicemail from my dad telling me to be a man. But I wasn't interested in being his version of a man. I drove for 3 hours, no destination in mind, just the open road and the roar of rage in my chest. My hands gripped the wheel so tight my knuckles ached. I thought about crashing, about disappearing, about letting the pain win. But something kept me tethered. A name, a face, a possibility. Claire, Lana's mother. I had met her twice. Once at a holiday dinner where she barely said a word, and again at Lana's graduation, wearing a tight black dress and a tired smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. I remembered how she looked at Lana that night, not with pride, with something closer to exhaustion. I also remembered how she looked at me, curious, calculating, and maybe a little impressed. I found myself outside her suburban townhouse just before dawn, the sky bleeding from black to gray. I didn't know what I was going to say. All I had was a suitcase, a broken heart, and a need to destroy everything that had destroyed me. The door creaked open after my first knock. Claire stood there in a silk robe, coffee in hand, no makeup, hair tousled but still immaculate. She looked me over, eyes scanning my tired face, my bag, the store behind my stare. Then she said, with that same tired smile, I was wondering when you'd show up. No shock, no confusion, just readiness. I didn't ask what she meant. I stepped inside. The house smelled like citrus and sandalwood, clean, sharp, and soothing. Her decor was elegant but distant, like a hotel suite made for appearances. She walked ahead of me, hips swaying slightly, then gestured toward the kitchen. Coffee? She asked. I nodded. Please. We sat in silence for a few minutes. She poured me a mug, added just the right amount of cream and sugar, without asking. Lana used to get it wrong every time. Claire, she somehow got it perfect. Finally, she broke the silence. You saw them, didn't you? My jaw clenched. You knew. She gave a soft chuckle. Jason, I've always known. That's when something inside me shifted. She wasn't just a passive bystander in this mess. She was a witness, maybe even a casualty, but definitely someone who had reasons of her own. I leaned in, studying her face for lies, for cracks in the mask, but she just sipped her coffee calmly. He's been sleeping with my daughter, I said slowly, like the words would change if I repeated them. My dad, for who knows how long. Claire set her cup down and met my gaze. And you think you're the first casualty of their chaos? I didn't know what to say. She continued. Lana is her father's daughter, vain, ruthless, addicted to validation. And your father? Well, let's just say I divorced him a decade ago mentally. I stayed married for money. Her honesty was sharp. It cut through my confusion and offered something rare. Clarity. What are you doing here, Jason? She asked finally, voice low. What do you want? I stared at her. I could have lied. Said I just needed a place to crash. Said I had nowhere else to go. But I didn't lie. I want to hurt them. She smiled, not with kindness, with recognition. Claire stood, walked over to me, and gently placed her hand on my shoulder. Then maybe, she said, her voice velvet smooth, we can help each other. That night, I lay in the guest room, staring at the ceiling, Lana's laugh still echoing in my ears, my dad's words carved into my skull like acid on stone. You were never enough. We'll see about that. Because the woman down the hall, she's not just Lana's mother. She's a powder keg of secrets, bitterness, and unmet needs. And I've got the match. Let them burn. The next morning, I woke up to the smell of bacon and fresh coffee. For a second, I forgot where I was, until I opened my eyes and saw the pale gray walls of Claire's guest room. Minimalistic, spotless, cold. Like her, like me, I didn't dream that night. Maybe I was too exhausted. Or maybe my brain was too scorched from betrayal to allow anything else in. But I remembered one thing crystal clear, Claire's last words before we went to bed. Then maybe we can help each other. I didn't know what she meant, but I wanted to find out. When I walked into the kitchen, Claire was already dressed, tight black jeans, a burgundy blouse, her hair tied into a soft bun. Sophisticated, casual, lethal. She poured me a cup of coffee without asking. How'd you sleep? She asked. Like a corpse. She smirked. You'll get used to it here. I sat across from her at the island, watching the way she moved. Controlled, composed, like she was constantly editing her emotions in real time. The more I studied her, the more I realized she wasn't just Lana's mother. She was what Lana pretended to be. Polished, calculated, powerful. I cleared my throat. Claire, why weren't you surprised when I showed up? She stirred her coffee. Because I knew you'd come. How? Because I know what betrayal does to people. I know what it feels like when someone rips the floor out from under you and you're left standing in the wreckage, trying not to lose your mind. Her voice wasn't angry. It was eerily calm, almost surgical. She looked at me with something that wasn't quite pity, but wasn't quite affection either. I've been watching Lana implode since she was 16. She used to sneak out of the house in my clothes. Started sleeping with teachers for grades. When I confronted her, she laughed. Told me she was practicing for when she married rich. I said nothing. Just gripped the edge of the marble counter. And your father? Claire continued. He was always looking for something younger to chase. Always needed to prove he still had it. I left him emotionally the day I found a thong in our bed that wasn't mine. He said it was a joke. My stomach twisted. She smiled tightly. He always did love an audience. Silence settled between us like thick fog. Then Claire said, So, Jason, what now? What do you really want? I want them to hurt, I said without blinking. I want them to feel everything I felt last night. The humiliation, the rage, the way it unzips your soul and leaves you raw. She studied me. Then she got up, walked to a window, and pulled the blinds halfway. The morning sun spilled into the room. Then stay, she said. I looked at her. What? Stay here. With me. Let's see what happens when the boy they broke suddenly becomes a man who breaks them. I stood slowly. You're serious? Claire walked toward me, slow, measured, predatory. Her eyes locked on mine like a challenge. I don't do things halfway. You want revenge? So do I. Maybe for different reasons. But the enemy is the same. I swallowed. Hard. What would that even look like? She smirked. Let's start small. That afternoon we went shopping. Not groceries. Not furniture. Clothes. Image. Claire took me to a boutique on the other side of town. Some high-end place with polished floors and salesgirls who looked like fashion bloggers. She dressed me like a different version of myself. Slim fit slacks. Button-down shirts that hugged my shoulders just right. Leather jackets that made me look like I belonged in a magazine. Reinvention starts with presentation, she said. We look like a couple. A dangerous one. I could see the stares. Women watching me. Men watching her. It was intoxicating. Claire wasn't doing this to play dress-up. She was building a weapon. Me. And I let her. That night it happened. We ran into them. It was a rooftop restaurant downtown, modern, expensive, Lana's type of place. Claire claimed it was just a coincidence, but the glint in her eye told me otherwise. They were seated near the balcony. Lana in a red dress I bought her for our anniversary. My dad in one of his smug, tailored suits. Fingers resting on her thigh like she was property. Claire and I walked right past them. My heart raced. Lana's eyes widened first. Then my dad's jaw tightened. Claire didn't flinch. She leaned into me, her hand brushing mine. Smile, she whispered. They're watching. So I did. We were seated 3 tables over in full view. Claire ordered wine. I couldn't taste anything. My blood was boiling. But Claire? She was electric, cool and captivating. She reached across the table and rested her hand on mine, her fingers slow, sensual, deliberate. When the wine came, she clinked glasses with me. To reinvention. To destruction, I replied. She laughed softly. Same thing. Then, as if rehearsed, she leaned in and brushed her lips against my cheek. Light but unmistakable. I turned my head slightly and met Lana's eyes. She was fuming. Good. Let it burn. Back at the house, I collapsed on the couch. The high was starting to fade, and guilt crept in around the edges. But Claire? She was radiant. She kicked off her heels, poured another glass of wine, and curled up beside me. You did well tonight, she said. That was intense. She looked at me. Still want out? No, I said. I want more. She leaned in closer. Then we play this right. Slowly. With precision. Don't just get even. Outmaneuver them. Make them think they're still in control until it's too late. Something about the way she said it made my spine tingle. Claire wasn't just a woman scorned. She was a general, and I was becoming her weapon. That night, I couldn't sleep again. But it wasn't rage that kept me awake this time. It was her, Claire, the way she moved, spoke, looked at me like she saw the storm I'd been trying to bury and liked it. I wasn't sure where this road led, but one thing was certain. I wasn't turning back. There's a moment, right before things cross the line, where time slows down. You can feel the air shift, the tension crawling up your skin, and something deep in your gut says, don't do it. But that night, when Claire stood at my bedroom door in nothing but a silk robe, holding 2 glasses of red wine, and looking at me like I was the only man who existed, my gut went silent. Or maybe it wanted this too. I sat up in bed, the sheets twisted around my waist, shirtless, exhausted, but wide awake. Her presence was electric, dangerous, familiar in a way that shouldn't have been. Can't sleep? She asked, stepping in without waiting for an invitation. I shook my head. Nope, too much noise in here. Claire handed me a glass and sat beside me on the bed, legs crossed, robe slipping slightly off one shoulder. Her perfume, something expensive and warm, wrapped around me like a spell. You keep everything locked up, she said softly. Like if you talk about it, the whole dam will break. I took a long sip of wine. Isn't that safer? She tilted her head. For them, not for you. We sat in silence for a moment, sipping, breathing, not looking at each other, but not looking away either. Then she asked, "Do you hate her?" The question hit harder than I expected. I set my glass down on the nightstand and ran a hand through my hair. I hate what she did. I hate that I didn't see it coming. I hate that she looked me in the eye for months while stabbing me in the back with the man I trusted most. Claire nodded. It's always the ones closest to you. That's what makes it feel like a sickness, like betrayal's crawling under your skin. She turned to face me. Her eyes were darker now, hungrier. You didn't deserve it, Jason. None of it. There was something in the way she said my name, slow, almost reverent, like she was claiming it. She reached out and touched my cheek. Just her fingertips, barely there. "You're nothing like your father," she whispered. My breath caught in my throat. "Claire," I said, not trusting myself. She leaned in slowly. Her lips brushed the corner of my mouth. Not quite a kiss. More like a test. A challenge. And I failed it. Or maybe I passed. I grabbed the back of her neck and kissed her like I wanted to burn the whole house down with us inside it. She didn't flinch. She leaned into it. Into me. Her robe sliding down her shoulders. Her body warm and soft against mine. It wasn't gentle. It wasn't romantic. It was raw. Two broken people clinging to the fire between them, punishing the world with every touch. Clothes disappeared. Breathing turned into gasps. Her nails left trails down my back. My name came out of her mouth like a secret she'd been dying to say. There was no guilt. Not then. Just release. Just revenge. We lay tangled in the sheets after, our bodies slick with sweat, hearts still racing. She lit a cigarette and passed it to me without a word. I took a drag and exhaled slowly. My brain was scrambling for logic, but my body still hummed with something dangerous. "You're thinking too much," Claire said. "I just slept with my ex's mother," I replied dryly. She laughed, a low, satisfied sound. "You didn't just sleep with me, Jason. You chose to take back power, to stop being the victim." I looked over at her. "Is that what this is for you? Power?" Her smile turned sad. "It's survival. I was invisible for so long. I started to believe I didn't exist." That hit harder than I expected. Claire wasn't just using me. She was bleeding, too. "You're not invisible now," I said. Her eyes flickered. "Good, because I'm not done yet." The next morning, the guilt showed up like an uninvited guest. I stood in the shower, letting the water scald my skin, trying to wash off the weight of what we'd done. But it wouldn't come off, because it wasn't just a mistake. It was a declaration. I was no longer the son, no longer the boyfriend. I was something else now. A threat. Claire acted like nothing had happened. She made coffee, read the paper, watched the morning news while humming. I couldn't stop replaying every second of the night before. "Relax," she said, sipping her espresso. We both wanted it. I nodded slowly. Will they find out? Claire leaned back and smiled like the devil herself. "Let's make sure they do." We spent the day crafting the next step. Photos, hints, a subtle message on social media, a picture of 2 glasses of wine clinking, her hand on mine, no faces shown. Just enough to spark suspicion. Just enough to make Lana wonder. That evening, we heard it. A knock at the door. Hard, fast, furious. Claire looked at me with a wicked smile. And so it begins. I opened the door and found Lana standing there, face red, eyes wild. "You've got to be kidding me," she hissed, storming into the house. Claire didn't even flinch. "What are you doing here, sweetheart?" she asked sweetly, sipping her wine. Lana spun to face me. "Are you insane, Jason? Sleeping with my mother?" I raised an eyebrow. "You slept with my father." Claire stepped between us. "Let's not pretend you have the moral high ground, Lana." "You're sick, Mom." Lana shouted. "You're old enough to be his." "Don't," Claire snapped. Her voice dropped an octave. "Don't pretend you care about age or boundaries. You crossed the line first. I'm just following your lead." Lana's face twisted in horror. This is disgusting. No, I said, this is karma. She turned on me. You think this hurts me? You think I care? I pitied you, Jason. I stepped closer, nose inches from hers. And I loved you. Look where that got me. She opened her mouth to say something else, but her eyes flicked behind me. Her lips trembled. Claire had walked up behind me and wrapped her arm around my waist. She kissed my neck, slowly, while locking eyes with her daughter. Get out, Claire said calmly, before I really give you something to cry about. Lana screamed, loud and guttural. She shoved a glass off the counter, letting it shatter across the floor. Then she stormed out, slamming the door so hard the frame rattled. I turned to Claire. She looked alive, and so was I. It didn't take long for the whispers to start. Lana's meltdown at Claire's doorstep was just a spark. By the next day, her social media had gone dark, and the rumor mill was working overtime. Screenshots from my cryptic post, the 2 wine glasses, the blurred fingers interlocked, had already made their rounds in the circle we use to share. College friends, family acquaintances, even people from my dad's law firm were sending side eyes in group chats. And I wasn't hiding anymore. Neither was Claire. She moved differently now, like a woman unburdened. Her heels clicked louder. Her perfume was stronger. She laughed more, smirked more, stared at me like I was hers. And for now I was... What started as a game was turning into something else. Something real. Something terrifying. But I didn't stop, because this wasn't just revenge anymore. It was a reckoning. We ran into my father and Lana again 2 days later. Claire insisted we go to an upscale lounge where my dad was known to host clients. Neutral territory. Public enough to prevent drama. Intimate enough to draw blood. She wore a satin emerald dress that fit her like a second skin. Her lips were blood red. Her hair pulled into a tight bun that screamed elegance and war. I wore the suit she picked for me last week. Slim, charcoal gray, no tie, just a button undone at the collar. Her hand gripped my arm with a possessiveness that wasn't subtle. When we entered, heads turned. But it wasn't until we walked past their table that I saw it. My dad's eyes going cold. Lana's jaw tightening so hard, I thought she'd crack a molar. Claire didn't even blink. She turned to me mid-walk and brushed her lips against my cheek. It wasn't romantic. It was territorial. This is mine now. I caught my dad's face as it happened. Pure, undiluted disbelief. The same man who told me I was never enough for Lana now looked like he was watching his entire world fall apart, in slow motion. We were seated a few tables down, just close enough to hear pieces of their conversation. Lana was fuming, her words sharp. My dad? He was trying to play it cool, but his voice was tight, clipped. Claire sipped her cocktail, eyes locked on him like a sniper sighting her next shot. Enjoying the show? I asked. She smiled without looking at me. They thought we'd crumble. Let's give them performance. Halfway through dinner, Claire excused herself to the restroom. That's when my dad approached the table. He didn't sit. He stood over me like a warning. Whatever this is, he said, voice low and stern. Stop it. I didn't flinch. Why? Feeling threatened? He scoffed. She's twice your age. She's your girlfriend's mother. Have you lost your damn mind? I leaned back in my chair, calm, collected. You mean your ex-wife? And my ex, who was riding you like a carnival ride in your study 2 weeks ago. His jaw flexed. You humiliated me, I said, voice dropping. Now I'm just returning the favor. You think you're punishing me, he snapped. All you're doing is proving you're reckless. Immature. You don't understand how the world works. I smiled. No, you don't understand how I work. Claire returned then, sliding into her seat with a sweet smile. Trouble, gentlemen. My dad glared at her. You're really doing this? Claire lifted her glass. Already did. He turned on his heel and stormed back to Lana, who was now staring daggers at me. Pure venom in her gaze. Claire clinked her glass to mine. Checkmate, she said. Later that night, as we walked to the car, I couldn't stop laughing. That was savage, I said. Claire lit a cigarette, exhaled slowly. You think that was savage? We're just getting started. But the laughter didn't last. When we got back to the house, everything felt different, heavier. I poured myself a drink and sank into the couch. Claire stood in the doorway, watching me. Talk to me, she said. I keep wondering where this ends. I said quietly. What happens when they're both destroyed? When we burn it all to the ground? She crossed the room and sat beside me. Then we rebuild. With what? I asked, turning to her. Ashes. Claire touched my cheek. Sometimes ashes are cleaner than memories. I kissed her before I could stop myself. It was slower this time, deeper, not about spite, about need, about escape. Afterward, we lay in bed, tangled and breathless, and that's when she whispered it. I've known about your dad and Lana for over a year. I stiffened. What? Claire stared at the ceiling. I caught them, before you ever did. I even confronted Lana. She said it was just sex, that it didn't mean anything, that I was too bitter to understand. My stomach twisted. Why didn't you tell me? She turned to face me. Because I wanted you to find out for yourself. I wanted you to feel it. I sat up, stunned. You let me walk into that. Claire didn't apologize. She just shrugged. You wouldn't be who you are now if I had stopped you. There was a long, heavy silence. Then she said the one thing that made me question everything. I stayed for the money. But now, her voice was sharp. Now I want revenge. The next morning, I couldn't look at her. Claire was in the kitchen like nothing happened, wearing my t-shirt, humming some classic rock tune, while scrambling eggs like she hadn't just admitted to orchestrating my downfall, like she hadn't watched me walk into that room and shatter without warning me. I sat at the counter in silence, watching her move, casual, confident, beautiful, and wondering if I had made a mistake, or if I had finally met my match. You're quiet, she said without turning around. You let me walk into hell. I said. Claire placed the eggs onto a plate with perfect grace and set them in front of me. Then she leaned on the counter, staring into my eyes. I didn't let you walk into anything, she said calmly. I gave you the freedom to see the truth for yourself. Because if I had told you, Jason, you would have defended them. You loved them. I wanted to argue. I wanted to throw the plate across the room and scream that she was wrong, that I wasn't that naive. But the truth was she wasn't wrong. If Claire had told me earlier, I probably would have called her bitter, jealous, maybe even crazy. But now I knew. Now I felt it. She sighed and walked around the counter, standing beside me. I've spent years being quiet, smiling through betrayal, pretending everything was fine while Lana tore through relationships, and your father spent our money on women half my age. Her voice shook just slightly. That was the only crack in her armor. I stayed, she continued, because I had nothing. No job, no support. I raised a daughter who turned into a mirror of the man who ruined me. I watched it happen and couldn't stop it. She knelt in front of me, her hands on my knees. But you showed up on my doorstep with a broken heart and fury in your eyes. And I thought, finally someone knows what it feels like to be swallowed by betrayal. Tears burned the backs of my eyes, but I didn't let them fall. I don't know what this is. I whispered, you and me. I don't even know if I like you half the time. Claire smiled, soft and sharp at once. You don't have to like me. You just have to trust that I want the same thing you do. I stared at her. And what's that? She stood, walked to the window, and parted the curtain just enough to let the sun light up her profile. Destruction, she said, but not just pain. Legacy-ending destruction. That afternoon, we began planning the next move. It wasn't enough to hurt them emotionally. We needed something more, something permanent. Claire poured 2 glasses of scotch neat and pulled a small lockbox from the back of her closet. Inside were photographs, emails, bank statements, blackmail. She had been collecting evidence for years. There were emails from my father to other women, some even younger than Lana. Conversations where he joked about Claire's dead bedroom and called her expired. Photos of Lana cozying up with a married professor from her grad school. Timestamps proving it overlapped with our relationship. receipts, proof, ammunition. She dropped them on the table between us. I was saving these, she said, for court, for lawyers, for the day I needed to remind them I'm not as weak as they thought. I sifted through the stack, jaw tightening with every revelation. You want to leak these? I asked. Claire smirked. No, Jason. We want to leak them. She was right. This wasn't just her war anymore. It was mine, too. We crafted a plan over takeout and cheap whiskey. It was simple. Anonymous emails to Lana's current employer, detailing her affair with a professor who'd just been promoted. Screenshots sent to my dad's business partner, showcasing his after-hours activities with multiple women, some of whom had criminal records. Carefully timed leaks to mutual friends, family members, and key social circles. We didn't want a scandal. We wanted a slow collapse. Death by 1,000 cuts. And at the center of it all, me and Claire, the unholy alliance. That night, after hours of planning, we sat on the back porch in silence. The stars stretched above us, and the air smelled like jasmine and smoke. I always wondered, I said, swirling the last of my drink, why Lana was so obsessed with power, control, image. Claire didn't look at me, because that's all she ever saw. A father who measured love and status. A mother who disappeared to survive. She learned to play the game better than both of us. I studied her. You blame yourself? Her eyes flicked to mine. I used to, but not anymore. She reached out and took my hand, her fingers cold from the night air. You didn't break her, Jason. She was broken long before you came along. But now you get to decide. Are you going to let her keep that power? I shook my head. No. Good, she said. Then let's burn the rest of it. We began sending the files the next morning. No names, no faces, just facts. Whispers spread like wildfire. My phone lit up every hour with people asking, is this real? Did you hear? Is Lana okay? And then came the message that changed everything. A voicemail from my dad. His voice was trembling. Jason, son, we need to talk. You don't understand what you're doing. You're not just hurting us. You're hurting yourself. I can make this all go away if you walk away now. Come home. Be reasonable. I stared at the screen. Claire leaned over my shoulder and deleted the message. Too late, she said. That night, Lana showed up again. This time, she didn't knock. She kicked the door open. Her face was twisted, mascara streaking down her cheeks, eyes wide with fury. You think this is funny? She screamed. You think ruining my life is some game? Claire rose from the couch slowly. It's not a game. It's justice. Lana turned to me, shaking. You sent them, didn't you? The emails. The photos. You want to see me lose everything. I stood, calm, silent. She stalked toward me. You're a monster. Claire stepped between us. No, Lana. You made him one. And then Lana whispered something that made my blood run cold. You think you've won? She said. You have no idea what I'm capable of. She reached into her purse. My heart stopped, and then she pulled out a knife. The room froze. Claire didn't flinch. I didn't breathe. And Lana, standing in the doorway with a kitchen knife clutched in her shaking hand, wasn't bluffing. Her eyes were wild, rimmed with smeared black eyeliner. Her chest heaved with every breath, like she was holding back a scream. The knife trembled in her grip, but her voice? Steady, frighteningly steady. You took everything from me, she said, her tone dead flat. My reputation, my job, my friends. You destroyed me. Claire moved first. She stepped forward, calm and elegant even in the face of insanity. Put it down, Lana. This isn't you. You don't know who I am anymore, Lana snapped. You never did. Then prove me wrong, Claire said softly. Put the knife down. Walk out that door. Start over. Lana's lip twitched. Why? So you can keep screwing my ex? So you can keep parading around like some twisted version of me? I stepped forward, just behind Claire. Lana, you betrayed me. You broke me in ways I didn't even know were possible. But what you're doing right now, that's not pain. That's desperation. She looked at me, and for the first time, her expression cracked. Tears spilled over. You were supposed to be the safe one, she whispered. You were supposed to love me. I did, I said. Then why her? She asked, voice broken now. Why my mother? Claire answered for me. Because, unlike you, I don't pretend to love someone just to feel powerful. Lana snapped. She lunged. The knife cut the air between us like lightning. I grabbed her wrist just before the blade met flesh, twisting it back, hard. She screamed and dropped the knife. Claire kicked it away. Lana crumpled to the floor, sobbing, feral. I didn't feel pity. Not anymore. Claire crouched down, picked up the knife, and held it up between two fingers like it was trash. I should call the police, she said matter of fact. Lana looked up, broken and bleeding inside. Go ahead. Maybe I need it. Maybe I need to be locked up to stop this spiral. I crouched beside her. No, I said, you don't get to fall apart now. You don't get to make this about you. You started this fire, Lana. Now sit in the smoke. Claire tossed the knife into the sink with a loud clang. We're done here, she said. But we weren't. Not really. Because Lana got up, wiped her tears, and laughed. A sick, hollow sound. You think you've won, she said. This isn't over. You're not the only one who collects secrets, Jason. She turned to Claire. You think he knows everything about you? The men, the pills, the late-night breakdowns, or how you were never even invited to my graduation. He brought you because no one else would come. Claire went still. I looked at her. Is that true? Claire said nothing. Lana smirked, turning to me with eyes that were no longer sad, just cruel. She's not your savior. She's a mirror. You're falling for the same manipulation she resents me for. And then she walked out. No slamming doors. No final scream. Just a slow, eerie exit, like she knew she'd be back. That night, the silence between me and Claire was unbearable. I stood in the kitchen pouring a double shot of bourbon, staring at the sink where the knife had landed. Claire was behind me, her presence heavier than ever. She wasn't wrong. Claire finally said. I turned. About what? About the graduation. About me showing up because no one else cared. I said nothing. She walked a window, back straight, eyes glassy. I used to think if I was quiet enough, small enough, obedient enough, people would love me. They'd notice me. But they didn't. So I built armor. I became the version of myself that men desired and women feared. You don't owe me a justification, I said. But I need to know, what are we, Claire? She turned. Do you want a label? I want clarity. Her voice dropped. Then here's the truth. You were a weapon. A beautiful, broken weapon I didn't know I needed until you walked in that door. I swallowed. And now... She stepped closer. Now I want more. I didn't answer. Because I didn't know if I wanted to be more than a weapon, or if that's all I ever was. The next day, Lana's threats became real. My dad called me, screaming. She sent your college records to my board. She leaked my old DUI photos. Jason, she's gone rogue. She's taking you down with us. I didn't flinch. I can handle her, I said. He laughed bitterly. You think you're in control? You're in over your head. This isn't a game, son. This is legacy, career, family. Family died when you unzipped your pants in front of mine, I said coldly. He hung up. Claire, sitting nearby, gave me a look. It's starting. I nodded. Let it. That night, I dreamt of blood, of a knife in my hand, of Lana smiling as I bled. When I woke up, Claire was beside me, her hand on my chest, her breathing slow and steady. I looked at her face, at the lines around her eyes, at the woman who dragged me into this fire, and I asked myself, am I in love? Or am I just addicted to destruction? I didn't have the answer, but I knew this. Lana wasn't done, and neither was I. There's no silence quite like the silence after someone pulls a knife on you. It lingers. It stains the air. Even when the blade is gone, the damage is done. For 3 days, Claire and I didn't speak much. We slept in the same bed, ate the same meals, made love with the same hunger. But something was different now. Something had shifted. The war we started had spun out of control. And Lana wasn't retreating. She was strategizing. On the fourth morning, I got a text from my cousin, Mark. Dude, is it true? Are you sleeping with your ex's mom? Then another. Bro, check your email. This is wild. I opened my inbox and froze. Lana had done it. A mass email. Blind copy to our friends, family, professors. Even my internship coordinator at the law firm. The subject line? The real Jason Carter. A warning to all women. Inside were screenshots. Edited ones, some real, some fake. Painting me as a manipulative predator, a gold digger, and an unstable narcissist. Photos of me and Claire kissing, hugging, laughing. A full-on expose. And the last line of her message? If you thought I was the villain, you haven't met my mother. They deserve each other. May their love rot like the lies it's built on. My phone rang 5 times before I finally shut off. Claire stood in the doorway of the guest room with her arms folded, watching me. She escalated. I said, staring at the screen. Claire didn't look surprised. Of course she did. She's trying to bury me. Claire stepped into the room, calm but tight. Then we bury her first. Later that day, I met with an attorney friend from school, Sarah. She was sharp, no nonsense, and just nosy enough to be useful. She read through Lana's email and shook her head. She's opened herself up to libel, defamation, and character assassination. If you want to sue her, Jason, this is your chance. I didn't hesitate. Let's do it. But Sarah paused. Are you sure? Once this goes to court, everything comes out, even the stuff you're not proud of. The public loves scandal, but the legal system? Not so much. I looked her dead in the eye. She used my silence as a weapon. It's time I turn up the volume. Claire had already made her move. While I was with Sarah, she'd sent every damning piece of evidence she had on my father to the board of directors at his firm. Untraceable, anonymous, laced with just enough detail to be undeniable. 2 hours later, his assistant called. He'd been suspended, pending internal review. They were freezing all public-facing projects. When I got home, Claire was on the couch, sipping wine with the TV on mute, eyes gleaming. Checkmate, she whispered when I walked in. But I wasn't smiling. Claire, I said, tossing my phone on the coffee table, she's trying to destroy me. Claire nodded. That means we're close. People only get this desperate when they're losing control. I stared at her. We become what we hated. She didn't deny it. She just took another sip and said, then let's finish what we started. But that night, something changed. I woke up around 2 a.m. and found Claire in the kitchen, sitting in the dark, crying silently. I'd never seen her cry. Not once. I stepped forward slowly. Claire. She wiped her face quickly, trying to gather herself. Sorry, didn't mean to wake you. I sat beside her. What's going on? She didn't look at me. I got a call from an old friend. Lana sent her the email. 2. Said I was grooming you, that I manipulated you into revenge sex, that I've been mentally unstable since the divorce. I clenched my fists. That's a lie. She has people believing it, Claire whispered. And for a second, I almost believed it too. I took her hand. You didn't manipulate me. I chose this. She looked up at me with haunted eyes. Did you, Jason? Or were we just two broken people who mistook trauma for connection? I didn't have an answer, because part of me was starting to wonder the same thing. The following day, Lana showed up again. This time, she wasn't screaming. She wasn't shaking. She was composed. Icy. Claire and I opened the door together. Lana stood there in all black, sunglasses, perfectly done hair, and a manila envelope in hand. No drama, she said. I just came to drop this off. What is it? I asked. She handed it to me. Your choices. In writing. You can stop this now. Drop the lawsuit. Walk away. Or I go public with everything. You think I don't have photos? Messages? Videos? Claire stepped forward. You're bluffing. Lana smirked. Try me. And then, for the first time, she looked directly at her mother, not with rage, but with something darker, regret. "Do you know what hurts the most?" she said. "Not that you're sleeping with him. Not even that you're enjoying it." Claire said nothing. "It's that you finally showed up," Lana whispered. "You were never there when I needed you. But now, you're alive, because you found someone to replace me." Claire's face went pale. Lana turned to me. "And you, I hope whatever this is, was worth it." Then she left. No knife, no screams, just silence. I stood in the living room with the envelope in hand, heart pounding. Claire stared at the closed door. "Jason," she said quietly, "maybe she's right." I turned to her. "What do you mean?" "Maybe we push too far. Maybe we become the villains in our own story." I looked at the envelope. The war, the bodies we were stacking behind us. And for the first time, I wasn't sure I wanted to win anymore. The envelope sat untouched on the coffee table for 3 days. Claire refused to open it. I refused to throw it away. It was a symbol now of the choices I didn't want to make and the consequences I could no longer avoid. On the 4th day, my father called. I let it go to voicemail. Then he called again. And again. The 5th time, I answered. "Jason," he said, his voice low and forced, "we need to meet in person. I've got nothing to say to you." "Good," he replied, with a bitter chuckle, "because this isn't about saying anything. It's about fixing what's left." We met at a private club he frequented, a place he once took me as a teenager to learn how men handle business. Now it smelled like rot and desperation. He was already seated when I walked in. Gray suit, no tie, eyes darker than I remembered. He didn't offer to shake my hand, just said, "Sit." I did. He cut right to it. "Here's the deal. Walk away from Claire. Drop the lawsuit against Lana. I'll wire $50,000 into your account by the end of the day." I didn't move. "And if I say no?" He took a long sip of scotch. "Then I'll ruin you. I'll bury you under every favor I'm owed, every judge I played golf with, every executive whose skeleton I've stored in my closet. You'll never work in law again. You'll be a joke in every room you walk into." I laughed. "You already ruined me. You just didn't expect me to hit back." He leaned in, eyes sharp. "I expected you to grow up, not shack up with your girlfriend's mother like some revenge porn fantasy." I stared at him. "You expected me to become you. Cold, calculating, hollow." He smirked. "And you didn't?" I didn't answer. I just stood. "This is your only offer," he said. 50 grand. Clean slate. You walk away and I'll clean up the mess." "I'm not walking away," I said. "I'm burning the whole damn house down." I left him sitting there, a bitter king watching his crumbling kingdom. When I got home, Claire was in the study, sifting through old files. She didn't look up. "He made his offer, didn't he?" she asked. "Yeah." "What was it?" 50 grand to walk away. To pretend none of this ever happened. Claire finally turned to face me. "And?" I told him to shove it. She gave a small nod, like she expected that, like she hoped for it. But there was something else in her eyes. Something uneasy. "What is it?" I asked. She hesitated, then walked over to a drawer and pulled out a thin black folder. She handed it to me. "What's this?" I asked. "My insurance policy," she said, "in case he ever tried to buy silence." Inside were photocopies of emails, screenshots, voice memos, things I hadn't seen before, not just about my father, but about Lana. I flipped through, each page more damning than the last. Financial records showing hush payments. Screenshots of Lana threatening ex-boyfriends. A hidden camera still of her in a compromising position with one of her college professors. A man who was later suspended after an anonymous tip. "Claire," I whispered, "why didn't you show me this sooner?" "Because I was afraid," she said. "Afraid if you knew the full truth, you'd think I was worse than them." I looked at her. "And now, she said, stepping closer, "I don't care what you think of me. I just want this to end." I nodded slowly. then opened the envelope Lana had dropped off days earlier. Inside was a single photograph. It was me and Claire naked in bed, candid, intimate, vulnerable. The angle was from behind the door. Jesus, I muttered. Claire grabbed the envelope. She was watching us. She took this weeks ago. I said, sick to my stomach. She's been playing a long game. On the back of the photo, scribbled in lipstick red ink, was one line. Tick-tock. That night, Claire and I sat on the porch again. The stars were hidden behind clouds. Thunder rolled somewhere in the distance. I think she wants us to destroy each other, I said. She's not just trying to ruin our lives. She's baiting us into breaking this. Whatever this is. Claire looked at me, her voice low. Do you think she's winning? I took her hand. Not yet. She laid her head on my shoulder. Then let's finish this. Together. We sent the final package out the next day. To the dean of Lana's university. To the board of my father's firm. To every family member who hadn't yet picked a side. The evidence spoke for itself. Affairs. Blackmail. Threats. Harassment. Financial abuse. We didn't speak. We didn't gloat. We just sent it. And waited. By nightfall, the fallout began. Lana's university released a statement that she was under investigation. My father was suspended indefinitely, pending ethical review. Our inboxes exploded. Some begged us to take the post down. Others said we were brave. Some called us disgusting. But it was done. The war had ended. The battlefield was silent. That night, I lay awake beside Claire, staring at the ceiling. I don't know who I am anymore, I said. She turned to me. You're the man who survived. I looked at her. Do you think we ever stood a chance? You and me? She paused, then said, maybe not in the world we used to live in, but in this new one, the one we built out of ash and ruin. She kissed my shoulder. Maybe. I thought I was ready for peace. After everything we leaked, after all the reputations we shattered and lies we unearthed, I thought there'd be silence, stillness, an eerie sense of finality. But instead, there was her, Lana. She didn't disappear. She didn't retreat into shame or exile. She waited. And then, when the dust had just begun to settle, when Claire and I had finally dared to breathe again, she made her move. It started with a text. One line. No name. Come to the house. Alone. Or I go nuclear. I didn't need to ask who it was from. The number was blocked, but the venom was unmistakable. Claire begged me not to go. You owe her nothing, she said, pacing our bedroom in a silk robe that clung to her body like smoke. You gave her enough of your life already. Let her rot. But I couldn't. Not yet. I needed to see the look on Lana's face. When she realized her power was gone, I needed to know if she had anything left to take from me. So I went. The house was dark when I arrived. The front door was cracked open, like a mouth waiting to swallow me whole. Inside, the air was thick, heavy with something bitter and sharp. I could smell whiskey, expensive perfume, and something else, desperation. She was waiting in the living room, barefoot in a black silk slip, her hair a mess, mascara smudged under her eyes. And she was holding a wine glass and a butcher knife. Again. Really, I said, you need new material. Lana laughed softly, swaying slightly. This one's not for you. It's for me? She held up to her wrist, not slicing, but close. I froze. Put it down, I said firmly. Why? She whispered. There's nothing left. You burned everything. My job, my name, my mother. Her voice cracked. She chose you, Jason, over me, her own daughter. I stepped forward. Slowly. She didn't choose me. She chose truth. You've been hiding behind lies for so long. Lana, you don't even know what love looks like anymore. She laughed again, empty this time. Don't preach. You don't love her. You're just using her like you used me. I shook my head. No, I loved you despite who you were. But I love her because of who she is. Lana dropped the knife and burst into tears. I didn't move. I didn't hold her. I didn't console her. She wasn't mine to save anymore. I turned to leave, but she stopped me with a whisper. She's lying to you. I froze. What? She's been playing you from the beginning. I turned slowly. Go on. She started this before you ever showed up at her door. She knew I was cheating. She wanted revenge. You were just the perfect weapon. She told me. I stared at her. She said she wanted to ruin me, destroy your father, and watch us both bleed. Lana said. She never denied it. She just smiled. Why are you telling me this? I asked. Lana's face hardened. Because if I can't have you, she shouldn't either. I left. I didn't believe her. But I did not believe her either. When I got back to Claire's house, she was in the kitchen, poured herself tea like nothing had happened. Did she say anything? She asked without turning around. Yeah, I said. She said you planned this long before I ever showed up. Claire didn't move. And what do you think? I hesitated. I think you're capable of it. She turned slowly, cup in hand, and met my eyes. And would that change anything? I didn't answer, because I didn't know. She stepped forward and placed the cup on the table. Yes, I wanted revenge. Yes, I saw an opportunity when you showed up. But I didn't force you into anything, Jason. You chose this. I stared at her. Was any of it real? Claire's voice dropped. It's real now. Isn't that enough? I didn't know if it was. Because suddenly, I wasn't sure if I had destroyed Lana, or if Claire had destroyed me. The next day, the final blow landed. Claire had scheduled a press release. A full media expose, anonymous, of course, through a journalist friend of hers. It contained every secret, every dark detail, every corrupt transaction, the story of how an influential family collapsed under its own lies. I begged her not to publish it. I already got my revenge. I said, I'm done. But she wasn't. This isn't about revenge anymore, Claire whispered. It's about legacy. I won't let her rewrite the ending. So she published it, and the world exploded. Within hours, social media erupted. Hashtag Carter Fair trended. News outlets picked it up. Claire's friends began calling. So did enemies. So did lawyers. Lana's face was splashed across tabloids. My father's firm released a statement distancing themselves from him entirely. And me? I became a viral headline. Man destroys family after catching girlfriend with his father, then moves in with her mother. I wasn't a person anymore. I was a story. I sat on the porch that night, watching the city lights flicker in the distance. Claire came out with a blanket, wrapping it around my shoulders. She sat beside me. Quiet. I wanted justice. I said, You got it, she replied. I looked at her. But at what cost? Claire didn't answer, because she knew the cost was everything. You always think the end will come with fire, explosions, screaming, a final, dramatic reckoning. But the truth? The end comes quietly. It's waking up to a phone that doesn't buzz anymore. It's realizing people have stopped asking questions, not because they understand, but because they've moved on. It's sitting across from the woman you burned the world with and wondering if what's left is still worth salvaging. The headlines had faded. Lana had gone silent. Whether by force or self-imposed exile, I didn't know. I hadn't heard her voice since the night she held that knife like a prayer. My father vanished from public life entirely. His law firm cut ties, his assets frozen in a storm of investigations. The man who once stood on pedestals of power was now a recluse behind mansion walls, his name a cautionary tale. And Claire? She was still beside me, still beautiful, still unreadable, still pouring tea every morning like we weren't built on ruin. But I couldn't shake it, the feeling that everything we had was forged in fire, and now that the flames were gone, there was nothing left to keep us warm. We didn't talk about Lana anymore, or my father, or the scandal. We talk about groceries, the weather, mundane things that people talk about when they're pretending their lives aren't ash beneath their feet. But late at night, I'd lie awake and stare at the ceiling, wondering, who was I now? Not a victim, not a villain, not a son or a lover, just Jason. And I hated it. One morning, I came downstairs and found Claire staring out the window. Her suitcase was by the door. She didn't turn when I walked in. "I'm leaving," she said simply. I froze. "What?" "It's time," she whispered. "You need to figure out who you are, without me here. And I need to remember who I was before this war consumed me." I stared at her. "Is this goodbye?" She turned. Her eyes were soft, but there was no apology in them. "No," she said. "It's mercy." She stepped toward me, placed her hand against my chest. "We weren't built to last, Jason. We were built to destroy." I caught her wrist. "I don't want you to go." "But you don't want me to stay either," she said. "Not really." She kissed me. It wasn't a goodbye kiss. It was an acknowledgement that what we had was real, and that it was over. I watched her drive away. I didn't stop her. I didn't chase her. For the first time in months, I just let go. The weeks that followed were quiet. No more media calls. No more texts from friends pretending to care. The world had latched onto a newer, juicier scandal, and we were yesterday's fire. I got a job, freelance work, small law review editing for a startup. It wasn't glamorous, but it was honest. Some days I missed the chaos. Some days I craved the darkness. But mostly I missed her. Not Claire, not Lana, but the me I had been before love became war. One night, I sat on the balcony with a drink in hand and wrote a single sentence in my journal. They called me a monster, but they created me. And for the first time, I didn't feel broken. I felt reborn. 1 year later, I saw Lana at a coffee shop in another city. She looked different, healthier, older, softer, maybe. She didn't see me. I didn't approach her. She was smiling with someone new, and for a moment, I hoped she'd found whatever piece of herself she'd been trying to cut free all those years ago. My phone buzzed. It was an email from Claire. Subject: no regrets. Message: I saw your name in a blog the other day. They called you a cautionary tale. I smiled because we were never a warning. We were a reckoning. See, the world thought I was a villain, but I was just a mirror. And when they looked into me, they finally saw the truth. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and comment your thoughts below. Would you choose love or loyalty? And don't forget to subscribe for more true secrets every day.